Hey everybody, this is John Self, and we will be live with you in less than a minute. Hi everybody, I'm John Self, and welcome to Career Live on YouTube, where we're going to be discussing some really cool stuff today. The whole notion of career planning and how it can and will make a meaningful difference in your life. The other thing we're going to talk about today is the importance of using a side hustle. If you're not happy doing what you're doing, if you're not really passionate about your work, if you feel like you're just going to work, working for some jack and who's kind of toxic, and you really want to change and do something, you have a passion in your life, we're going to talk about how to make the transition using a side hustle. And then we're going to answer some of your questions after we talk briefly about the importance of changes in the job market today. So, I'm John Self. I spent 27 years in global executive search, and I also spent the last, 6-7 years coaching executives, managers, and directors to have a better career, a better life, and for people who have laid off to find their next better job. It's something I enjoy doing. Why? Because I'm able to put together my passion, my proficiency, and profit in a way that can benefit your life and not clean your pocketbook out. So we're pretty much about democratizing our fees. So I really appreciate you joining us today. So let's get busy now and talk really about some things that I think are extremely, extremely important. One is that your career planning is so important. And everybody says, John, you just keep harping on that and, give it a rest. I've never had to I haven't planned my career so far, and I've done really well. Okay, if you're 55, good luck, God bless. But if you still have 10 or 15 years you want to work, you better get serious about changing your attitudes. And let me tell you why. Because the job market has fundamentally changed over the last 10 years, and it has changed bigly, greatly, hugely in the last 5 years. Here's what I'm talking about. In the old days, you were looking for a job, you saw something in the newspaper, and you put your resume in a nice envelope and put a cover letter and sent it through the snail mail to HR. And then hopefully you heard from something. Or you got a call from one of the first search firms in your industry, and they said, we've been engaged to do this search, and your name has come up in our research, and we'd like to talk to you. And you go through a series of screening interviews, then maybe get presented to the client, and then perhaps go for a side interview. Now, with consolidation in many industries, from healthcare, retail, communications, publishing, you're finding that a lot of these companies are bringing recruiting inside. In fact, most of the recruiting now is not being done by search firms. Matter of fact, it's down around 30 to 35%. Most of it's being done by internal recruiters. And let me tell you how that's working. Well, you all know about applicant tracking systems. That's been going since the mid to late 90s, where the large corporations would use it as a way to cut down on the number of people in talent acquisition and use computers to scan resumes as they were coming in based on algorithms tied to certain job descriptions that they were trying to fill. And if your resume got through the algorithm screen, then you were sent to the appropriate recruiter. So they might get 200 or 300 resumes. They might pick 20. The computer might pick 20 to send to the recruiter based on the recruiter's parameters that they set in when they were publishing the job. Now, They're using computers to source candidates. So there's not some recruiter sitting back at his desk going, oh, that's a nice looking LinkedIn profile. That one, that's a good picture. No, they're using scanners. And they're scanning thousands of profiles in minutes. And then they look at the 500 and their profile then, their algorithm then looks at your profile, what you've posted, your experience, where you went to school, how you look. And then they get it down to maybe 20 or 30 of the people the computer thinks will be the best fit for the company. Now, so far, the only human being involved in this process is you. You don't think this is a major change? Holy cow, wake up and drink some coffee. Because it is. And people are finding that the normal paths to find a job are difficult. And if you're applying online, that is the worst, most difficult, most frustrating, most depressing way in the world to find a job at the management, executive, and director level. Why? Because your odds on average, are about 150 to 1. So why would you want to go that route? So in order to be successful, you have to have a network. And Networking 3.0, which is the latest and greatest way to build a network, is all geared around, guess what? A strategic plan, a career plan. And Networking 3.0 basically says, look, you can only effectively manage about 140 to 150 relationships online. That's the Dunbar rule. He's a British archaeologist who concluded that mammals, that was pretty much the max capability of mammals, including humans. So let me explain something to you. You can't do willy-nilly networking. Having 5,000 contacts will not find you a job. Having 16,000 contacts will not find you a job unless lightning strikes. So here's what you have to do. You have to understand where you're going, and you have to build networks to support each step of your path forward. You need to know where you want to end up, and then you need to reverse engineer everything back, including adding networking names that will help you accomplish each step of the way. That is the only way you're going to be really successful. Why? 60 to 70% of the best jobs aren't even listed. So you have to have a network that's going to keep you informed and make referrals to the employer, because those are the people who usually get hired. Unless they've hired, Korn Ferry or Heidrick and Struggles or Russell Reynolds or whoever to do the search, it's going to be done based on referral. So you've got to have a plan. You've got to invest time in building a plan, executing this plan every month, every quarter, every year. And you know what? The blog post today that's up on YouTube now gives you some very important insights. Yes, I'm harping about this. Why? Because I am telling you that if you want to achieve your financial goals, if you want to achieve your personal work-life goals, if you want to achieve satisfaction in your life, then you better get busy and build a plan with goals and targets, because the computers are going to control your work. And guess what? Guess where you spend 75% of your waking hours? On the job. And if you have trouble finding a new job because of automation, because you don't have a plan, you're really putting yourself in a deep hole. So please don't end up like some 55-year-olds I know that are sitting on the sideline, not doing what they're incredibly capable of doing, not contributing the value. They have amazing value to contribute, but they're not allowed in the game because they didn't plan, they got isolated, and now nobody wants to hire them. So that's the important thing about career planning. So, about 10 minutes into the deal, let me tell you that today's broadcast is brought to you by SendSpark. SendSpark is one of the leading email video services in the United States. Based in Texas, it's popular because it's easy to use, it's cost effective, and they have great technical support. Visit my YouTube page and go in and look at the description. There's a link to take you to SendSpark that will give you a first month discount on your subscription. It's very, very powerful. Why? Because people remember videos more than they remember textual emails, traditional emails. More often, video emails, if you put the right wording in, hey, this is a video we made for you that's produced on a Google approved platform, people will open that. And guess what? Video emails are 70% more likely to be opened than regular text sales literature. So that's where we're going in the area of video emails. And I would also like to say, and this is probably really more important to you, video emails will help you build connections for your professional network. And remember, without a professional network, your career will be limited unless you just get extremely lucky. So watch today's blog post. It's on YouTube. Join our family on YouTube so you're aware of when we put additional new posts up. And we are building a community for people who want to get the most out of their career. You got one life. You want to just take a chance, or do you want to get very intentional? Well, we're building an intentional group. More details about that later this month. And this group, people who join our group, they will receive incredibly important discounts and to our training programs. You will get monthly speakers, access to our monthly speakers, and a lot of other things that we're putting together. So there you go. We're looking forward to having you belong to our group, and we'll be announcing more of that in the near future. Now, let's talk about side hustles. I did a blog post. It's on YouTube, so please go look at it. It's got some great information. But let me tell you, a lot of people struggle with making their career change because they have obligations to car loans and mortgages and student loans and their family. Excuse me. For what ails you? Coffee. And so you can talk yourself out of leaving a job you don't like, a career that you're not really excited about because you've got obligations. Well, that's a lot of phooey. That's I understand that, and you may have a special circumstance that you're trapped, and if that's the case, I'm sorry. Then you really got to work hard to find a good hobby to otherwise deflect some of the unhappiness. But let me tell you this, you can make a change in your life by having a plan and executing that plan. It doesn't mean you have to suddenly quit one job and go start another and take the chance of financial consequences. A lot of people today are using what we call a side hustle. Now, a lot of people know side hustles as Lyft, DoorDash, Uber, and some of those other types of part-time jobs. And part-time job is part of that sort of overall catch-all theme called a side hustle. Here's what you do. If you are someone who has expertise, okay, and you have passion, so you have proficiency, passion, and you can use that if there is a market for what you're selling. Now, if you have passion and a market, but it's not monetizable, you have a hobby, okay? But if you have proficiency, profitability, and passion, you have the makings of a great new career. If it's profitable, if it's monetizable, you can do that. The nice thing about some of the new side hustles, when you're promoting intellectual property or thought leadership or expertise that you've accumulated, sometimes that means you don't have to invest in capital. There's a little nice lady who was in New York and then came to Texas, and she had all these family recipes going back, how to make the original sourdough starter and how to do some canning and all of these sort of old-time sort of recipes. And she thought there might be a market for that. And so what did she do? She went and she made a video. And boom, a lot of people watched it. And then she thought, well, that's interesting. I enjoyed that. I'll make another video. And she did. And people watched it. And she kept making videos, and more people watched it. She is going to get, probably this year, 1 million subscribers. She's just been approached to do a cookbook from a mainstream publishing company. She now, I understand, lives in the Hill Country and has a big-time enterprise going, she and her husband. And he was an IBM engineer, I believe. And they now have a great business that started as a side hustle. There's another lady, she graduated college and wanted to work in her parents' car dealers. They had several car dealerships. And so she was selling cars. She was learning the business from the ground up. And she realized that women really did not feel comfortable in car dealerships. They didn't feel comfortable dealing with male salesmen. And so she started providing information on the side and called herself. She got pregnant, had a baby. What kind of car should I have? What do I need? What I have now is not going to work. I have now twins coming. Gosh, I need a whole different thing. And you know, sometimes men are not as, the husband is not as responsive. And so she started putting out information. Look, you've got, your family's growing. Here are the best cars you can look at based on my experience as a car salesperson. Here's a car that looks good, is very popular, but they only have one bolted connection in the trunk so you to put a car seat. If you have three kids that use car seats, that car won't work for you. And so she became known as the Car Mom and has built that into a very strong online car advice, car purchase advice, car review website. She gets sponsors and she has affiliate marketing relationships. Sean Cannell, who's been extremely helpful in helping me get started building a YouTube population, and I'm still small, 132 subscribers, but that's up from when I first met him online. He's a remarkable guy. He started off as a church videographer, didn't have a lot of money, got married, was struggling to pay the bills. They were doing wedding videos and other types of corporate videos. His wife got sick and he's sitting there going, God, I have a family, I have a wife that's really sick. I have a responsibility to take care of them. So he got really, really busy and expanded his expertise, developed his expertise with videos, cameras, microphones, lighting, and there's tons of stuff. He now makes on affiliate marketing relationships. That is, you see a light, you ask him about a light, oh, that's on my website, go click this link. It goes to Amazon. He has a $100,000 a year business just in affiliate marketing. The super dad, a guy who was in manufacturing, who never thought he was going to be a father. His wife got pregnant. He became so joyful, he jumped in with both feet. And what did he do? He didn't really want to work on a plant floor. It was a nice job. It paid the bills. But he got so carried away with becoming a dad and realizing there wasn't a lot of stuff out there online and in books to talk specifically to dads about how you can be a better father. And what did he do? He built this incredible information business online with videos, with product reviews, all of these other things. He is now one of the premier go-to resources if you're a father and you want to know the best stroller. And he gets a lot of information, he gets a lot of advertising revenue, and he gets a lot of endorsement revenue. So there are ways, if you have specific knowledge that you can sell, that's really, really important. That's really, really important. And as we move up, it's, in building our community, these will be the kinds of things that we will bring to you, and we will have speakers coming in. And if you're a member of our community, you will have access to those speakers and that information. We will be here to help you grow your career. Now, at some point, everything I tell you about resumes and everything I tell you about references and all the questions we answer, you'll be able within 3 to 5 years to get that faster, better, quicker with AI online. Okay? Just the fact of life. So we understand that. But we do believe this. You may not want to pay for the information, but you will pay for community. And so we're developing an approach to help you with your career by assembling a group of like-minded people in the supervisory, manager, director, executive level. Right now, LinkedIn is the best way to use LinkedIn today, not peer-to-peer networking. You're not going to get a job because most of the people who want to connect with you want to sell you something, okay? In my video, when I connect with somebody, it's I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm here to help. And, you know, if you have questions, call me. I'm happy to answer your questions. That's what networking is about. Except on LinkedIn, it's now become about, just one big vomitous stream of people trying to sell you stuff. I have to make a living. I'm trying to sell information, but I'm not going to cram it down your throat and try to do that just for a connection. So I'm here for networking, and networking is about helping others. So, but unfortunately, most of the people who are now looking for peer-to-peer connections on LinkedIn have some other thing in mind. So LinkedIn is important for you to maintain. It's important for you to continue to be visible, have a great profile, update your headline, keep putting good hashtags out there, keep putting great content that showcases your talent, your expertise, your accomplishments, because those automatic scanners that are sourcing for candidates, they're looking at that. So that's the best way to use LinkedIn. But you also must build your network. Okay, so that's really, really important. So we are now moving into the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, because the job market has changed, I want to call your attention, I'm selling something now, to call your attention to our Guiding Your Career Academy. Go to John G. Self and click the little ribbon on the right side of the homepage and go in and look up the premium package for Guiding Your Career. It's called Career Transition Premium, and basically it brings you up to date with all the technology, all of the strategies for finding a job today, from building your value, constructing a resume, through interviewing, references, and negotiating the deal to onboarding. So it's a great package. It talks about Networking 3.0, and I encourage you to take a look at that. The cost, $249 a month for 6 months. There's an enrollment fee, but you go price my package against some of the well-known people in healthcare and other industries, and we are extremely well priced. We believe in democratizing our prices. So that's kind of it for what I want to talk about there. We still have some time left, and so what I want to do now is there you go, is answer some of your questions. John, you keep talking about, I get this a lot, you keep talking about the importance of having resumes that are customized. What does that mean and why? Well, a customized resume is a resume you use when you're applying online, because keep in mind, scanners are making the initial decisions about whether you are qualified and whether you're the best match for a job. And so how does that scanner work? It's taking its lead from the job description. And when a recruiter, online recruiter, or somebody who puts up a job on ZipRecruiter, Indeed, or any of those other platforms, it's the same principle. And they're basically putting in information about the job so that it can do a better job screening the resumes and getting the LinkedIn's, get people the right candidates. ZipRecruiter, Indeed, that's what they're really targeting is. So the more information that an employer puts into that job description, the better the algorithm will be and the better targeted the resumes will be. In corporations now, 95% of all the major corporations are using applicant tracking systems, and more, like quickly, are going to automation for candidate sourcing. And that's really important. So the third thing you need to know is that 60 to 70% of the jobs are not ever published. But getting back to the point, your resume has to be targeted for that job. You don't need a fancy resume because the computer doesn't care. You don't need a multi-column resume because the computer sometimes cannot read multiple column resumes. You do not need a picture. Do not use a picture. Do not use a flag. I don't care how patriotic you are or when you're rank in the military, that's great. thank you for your service, but the computer scanner will get screwed up if you try to put too much graphics on your resume. So don't let a resume writer sell you a package of design, because the design today is less important than any time in modern history. You can get a free resume package if you're a manager, director, or an executive, and you're looking for a resume package that's designed for you. Download our package. Download our form, our resume guide at johngself.com. It's at the top of the page. Click the button, and you can download it. You'll start receiving, as part of the value package, you don't pay anything, but you'll start receiving in the mail every morning our videos that are also posted here on YouTube. And if you don't want to receive that, you can just unsubscribe. We believe in permission marketing, so we're not going to kind of hammer you with stuff that you don't want. That's why we do live. If you have an interest in what we're talking about, you'll come. If you don't, you won't. We're not going to send out 10,000 DMs with letters that say, I thought about not sending this. Well, then why did you? Just nonsense like that. So we're more about trying to sell content, get you interested in what we have to do, and then invite you to come join us. That's the way we work. And so now we've talked about resumes and why it's important to be customized. Do not send a cover letter unless it's requested, because it'll foul up the scanners, and you'll get ejected. And a lot of people think, oh gosh, well, the scanner will see me and realize they'll save that resume. No, more often than not, it goes into just a delete file that every 30 days it clears out the delete file. Very few employers go looking at the log to find out who submitted resumes on any given day. That's why it's so important to have a network that can refer people to that can refer you to the hiring authority within a company. You may still have to go through the scanner, but now they know who you are, and you've sent them a resume directly. If you just send it through the computer, if the computer decides they don't like you, you may be the CEO's best friend, and nobody will ever know that your resume came through. So that's why referrals are important. That's why customization is important. Don't use a cover letter unless somebody tells you to. And you hear all these people, you got to use a cover letter. There is so much bad advice out there right now. Check the date of when something was posted. If it's more than 6 months old, stop. It may still be accurate, but it may be out of date. There's stuff up there that gets a lot of views that's 5 years old, and it's inaccurate, it's out of date, and it won't help you one bit. So pay attention to the shelf date, I call it, on the information on the internet. I have some older things about leadership that are still posted because they're timeless, but I try to keep changing out and keep keep adding new videos to the top of the list. Excuse me, for you to get the latest information, and that's what we really try to promote here, is the latest, best information. And anytime you see something that I write about, or see something I publish, or see something I broadcast, and you have questions, you can get an access to a free call. No big problem. Just go to my webpage, go to the bottom of the page, there's a little button that says Talk to John, and I'm happy to visit with you. Okay? I will be on, I'm going to be on Strategy Focus, a live stream from Dubai on August the 18th, I believe. This next Friday, I'm going to be a live stream interview on StreamYard about careers, and so a lot of things going on. We're getting more and more visible. But we are a company that really focuses on content marketing, and we want people to join us because they like our content and because they have confidence that we can help them have a better, more prosperous career. So let's see, one or two other quick questions. How many references? You get these questions and you answer them and you go, gosh, why do people remember? And the audience is just transitory. So you're going to get these questions. For those of you who join us all the time or watch these on replay, you hear them over again. But a lot of people, this may be the first time. You need 3 references. That's the standard. Always send 4. Why? Because if one of your references is out of pocket, gets sick, travels, whatever, you don't want to hold up the search because your third reference is not available. Always have 4. Use a peer, somebody who's a superior, and a subordinate, and one other in that category. Don't send personal references. People don't know. And you want to pick references that can speak in detail about your performance, about your skills, and about your personality, and about how you deal with various situations. Because if the reference has to say more than 2 or 3 times, I'm sorry, I can't speak to that, that is not a good reference. And people have gotten to the end of the line in their searches who are the leading candidates and had mediocre references and did not get the job. So that's very, very important for you to remember. If you have questions, again, I'm happy to answer those for you. And references, keep in mind, if you recruit them early in the search, they can provide you great information on how to answer certain questions that may reflect on areas where you need to improve on. So they're a great source of actionable intelligence. Also, if you're a senior executive, you may go through 6 or 8 searches before you land one. So you want to be sure that you have enough references so that you're not using the same 3 or 4 or 5 every time. Reference fatigue is a problem, and people who are fatigued with getting calls, they don't necessarily give bad references, but they may not be as enthusiastic as they were on that first call. Also, if you know someone was called for a job, you didn't get it, have the courtesy to call that reference and say, hey, thank you so very, very much. I did not get selected, but I want you to know that I appreciate your help. Would you mind sharing with me some of the questions you got? Now, what will that do? That will help you in continuing to improve how you respond to certain questions in interviews. So it's actionable business intelligence. All righty. Well, listen, it's 10 o'clock. I've enjoyed my time with you today. This will be up and available on YouTube for the next 30 days to view on a recording. And we will be back here next Thursday at 9:30. If there's a better time and you would prefer better times, let me know if you want to be in on the line feed. We always are happy to take questions. Now, this afternoon, I'll be on Instagram Live, and at 4 o'clock on Facebook Live, and then tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time, I will be on TikTok, we always end with TikTok because that's the biggest crowd we have all day. Last week we had over 1,500 people and great interaction, so it was really great. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'm John Self, and I will see you next week where we will once again help you guide your career to success.